Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. I've got the full panel here today.
We finally have a game to talk about that we all have in common. Absolutely.
So we'll just jump straight into it. Tears of the Kingdom had a, as of time of recording, Tears of the Kingdom had a new gameplay trailer that was shared, and it was fire, and we want to talk about our thoughts. So we'll probably just go in kind of the order of the things discussed in the video and discuss our thoughts on it. First thing he talked about was the changes to the world. So we could see that there were a lot of similarities to the worlds of Hyrule and Breath of the Wild.
Which makes sense because like they're reusing assets, which is kind of what we ordered, I feel like, how that, there's a lot of people that are like, why don't they do a similar thing with what they did with Majora's Mask, where they reuse some assets and give us a cool game. So we kind of did order that. And to be honest, I was kind of like, oh, look, it's not Dueling Peaks. Is it Dueling? Yeah, Dueling Peaks stable. It's my old stomping grounds. And I recognized the horsey song was still the horsey song. So I was just kind of like, ooh. And then from there, it went into new stuff. So it was kind of a fun transition, actually.
Yeah, narratively, it makes a lot of sense that there's going to be familiar locations, but
especially considering this is like a sequel. Anyway,
a direct sequel.
Yeah.
But the thing that still got me excited is when he said that there's a lot of changes to the world itself. At least that's the way I remember it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says.
So.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're going to get the benefit of, even though it's the same world, it's going to feel quite different. He said that there wasn't enough time to talk about all of the changes. So
hallelujah.
And also, I do feel like, I believe that David mentioned and Anthony mentioned there was a lot of people in the comments that were like complaining about the fact that it seemed like there was like basically just like 5 things new and the rest was the same. So here's the thing, I get your fears, but I am pretty dang sure that what's going on here is that they're trying not to give any more spoilers than overview of mechanics would give. Especially for people like David, who kind of wishes he didn't watch it, which is it's a David thing to do. So I feel like that's probably what's happening, because if I were to guess, they would want people to be able to organically discover a lot of what's new. But yeah.
Yep, I think Lisa hit the nail right on the head with that. That is exactly, I think, what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that, even though what we saw, there was a lot of familiar things. There'll be plenty of surprises. All right, so we've established that there is a lot of familiar stuff, but there's also a lot of fantastic looking new stuff, and we wanted to touch on a lot of those. So the first one that was introduced was the recall ability, where you can basically rewind time on objects. And in the video, they showed a demonstration of using that ability to ride a rock that had fallen from the sky world back up to the sky islands. So it kind of has me wondering, that's already a really cool application of the ability, but I'm wondering, can you apply that to enemies? Can you apply that to things that, like in Breath of the Wild, how you could stasis an object and send it flying? Could you reverse that process? I don't know if there's going to be a similar ability in this one, but the possibilities seem very interesting. As I said, we have seen it in some of the trailers used in combat, right?
You're right.
The enemies rolled a spiky ball down the hill, and then you shot it right back.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Anthony's excited. He lost it. I'm just kidding.
Didn't we see in a previous trailer something that looked like Magnesis was still a thing?
I think that's Master Hand.
Lisa.
Upgraded? Is that Ultra Hand now?
Ultra Hand, sorry, not Master Hand. I think it's Super Smash Brothers over here.
Smash Bros collab. Just kidding. All right. So yeah, I was gonna say, was it Magnesis or is it now Ultra Hand? I have to admit, when we got to that section of the video, I started kind of skipping through because I was like, I don't want you to explain it all to me. I just want to know that it exists. But yeah, it did kind of look like it was like, pick it up, a floaty float. So, so yeah. Anyway, I am also interested in the recall. I kind of am curious if, like, there's any, if you can accelerate yourself with it. I feel like it didn't look like it when he was riding up the rock. Didn't look like when it stopped that his character went woo or anything.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Which I feel like would be fun, but I wanted a lot of things to be a thing that are very ridiculous and not necessarily good game mechanics, just because I thought it'd be hilarious. So yeah, that'd probably not be a good user experience, but it would be so great.
Yeah.
You just recall yourself into the sky and get shot up into the stratosphere. Anyway.
Weird.
I'm getting off topic.
Well, well, actually, you tied it to my comment because there's many ways to get up into the Sky Islands. So that recalling is not the only way. So I'm curious what those other ways are.
Stasis a log, if it's still a thing. Shoot.
There you go. I'm sure.
I'm wondering if bullet time like acceleration exploits are still going to be a thing. If you can just like bounce off of a goblin's head straight into the sky, and get on a sky. Anyway.
So the elephant in the room is the fuse ability. That blew my mind, and I think that the opportunities it presents are, I mean, some of them look a little janky, it's admittedly, but it looks so cool, and the possibilities are endless. I mean, it's crazy. They took a stick that was about to break, fused it with a boulder, and then the thing lasted ages and did more damage. I have all the questions. I'm wondering if it scales based on the durability of the weapon being fused too, or if it just resets the durability. All I know is it sounds really cool.
I think it does reset durability, because I'm pretty sure he commented like, okay, this stick is almost broken, but let's do this.
Yeah.
So I think
the message went away. It was no longer almost about to break.
Yeah, the fusing, I think, is one way that they're addressing durability. Is like,
yeah,
well, this weapon's breaking. Why don't you try fusing it with something? And I wonder if that repairs it.
I feel like what Anthony's asking, and what I'm also curious about, is was the durability reset, or is it that the durability of the rock plus what was left of the stick was suddenly just so strong that it never got to the point of breaking again? Like, is it an addition thing, or is it times by 0 thing?
I think they both got reset. Is what I think.
Maybe.
What I understood.
By the way, it is a way to address the durability, which the video made very clear is returning. And it looks like weapons are, at least the stick was as durable as it was in Breath of the Wild.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Here's my thing, hot take. I didn't mind the durability. I know that most people hated it, but it felt so very viscerally powerful and satisfying when I threw my broken stick straight at a monster's head and then stole its weapon, and just, it was so good. Anyway,
I
do
actually
agree
liked it
that
too.
there are some weapons I would like to not have durability, like the Master Sword.
Yep.
I felt like shouldn't have had durability, and I do feel like the Champion's weapons that you get, right? That's a thing.
Yep.
They shouldn't have had durability.
Yep.
But as for the rest of it, it was always just like, all right, time to break this weapon and steal theirs. Anyway.
Yep.
I feel like now that they've revealed the fuse system, it makes sense to me that durability is returning. Because imagine, if you've got these weapons, you have a sword and you fuse it to this pitchfork, say, and neither of them ever break, then you're just going to be running around with this pitchfork forever and you're never going to try anything else. It's almost like it would not lend itself to continuous creativity. So I'm kind of almost relieved that durability is coming back, but at the same time, I do hope at the very least they give us a meter that shows exactly how much is left, or
yeah, we'll see about that one. I got my fingers crossed for that too, Ant.
That is such a simple change, and it would do so much good.
Agreed.
Anyway, and I wouldn't mind if things are, on the whole, we already know the stick isn't, but on the whole, that things are more durable than they were. But I guess we'll see.
But also going along with fusing, I think Anthony had a really good comment that he had just, I don't know if it was, well, I guess he had it with the whole panel. You commented and said they basically saw everyone's creativity from Breath of the Wild and said, let's make that a feature.
Yeah. I mean, you basically covered it.
Okay. You heard it here first. That was Anthony's words, not my own.
I think I've said this before. But I'm really excited to see how, what do you call them? Magic people? People that know the mechanics and exploit them like they're magic, like cleric and stuff. I'm really excited about what they do.
Agreed. Yeah, this with fusing, the possibilities are going to be endless, and we're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh,
and I hope we see like tutorial videos like, okay guys, I made this really cool little car. Here's how you can build it. Like, you know, here's how you can recreate this and try it yourself.
I have to say that when he was carrying a long stick and they went toward the pitchfork, I was like, there's no way that they're going to make this, but like it's gonna be ridiculous. It's not even gonna fuse in a believable manner unless it is stick plus stick, super long stick. And then all my dreams were fulfilled. It was just stick plus stick. It was like twice Link's height. I almost died laughing to just see him be like, I have 10 meter stick. Anyway.
I also thought it was hilarious. I was dying.
That part made me very happy. I have to say that.
You better believe I'm gonna get that stick just to feel like a major dork.
I have to be honest, that was one of the things that I was like, I kind of wish I hadn't seen it because that would have been fun to discover on my own, but I'm still glad to know that's possible.
The other fusing stuff, like the shield fusing,
yeah, that was
and
cool.
The arrow fusing, that was almost like more awesome, but not okay. It wasn't more awesome. It was the same amount of awesome.
The same amount of awesome.
Like the stupid mushroom on the shield.
That was really cool.
It looked so. Like, I died laughing again, but the effect was so cool.
There was a really fast, brief one, too, near the end, where they fused a rock to your shield as well.
I know. I was like, what is he going to do with that? And they didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything with it or show us anything. I assume it makes your shield stronger.
What we see is that Tears of the Kingdom is finally the Zelda game where you can have all the weird equipment and look ridiculous kind of thing.
Yeah, buddy.
The last thing that I saw someone point out is that the fusing, especially with like arrows and stuff, it gives you a reason to collect all that random stuff.
Absolutely. Like those eyeballs. I sold those eyeballs all the time.
Bat wings, whatever, just random stuff. Suddenly, like, these materials have a purpose for like crafting, or, you know, I know that was some complaints that I think even Arla had specifically, like, why we have so many things we collect and you don't do anything with them. So this game gives you something. This game gives you something to do with collecting all that stuff.
I really hope, though, with arrows specifically, that you don't have to do the fusion every time, like at the time of using it every time. Because if I have to, like, oh, okay, eyeball plus arrow, shoot. Eyeball plus arrow, shoot. I'm like, okay, what if I just want to make like 10 of them and have them to shoot instead of like the process anyway? So I'm worried that it will just be like, all right, I make another one, I shoot it, and then I get murdered because I was sitting there making another one. You know, anyway, so
I thought of the same thing, and that's my fear as well. But we'll see. Yeah. Hopefully they address that. But yeah.
Last two things: Ultra Hand, which looks also ridiculously awesome. It's basically magnesis on steroids, but also being able to create all of those vehicles intentionally, like it's part of the game's design now. People did such cool things in Breath of the Wild with all of these crazy gadgets they made, and now we can basically count on the game capitalizing on that type of creativity, and I am just super excited on what sort of things we're going to be able to solve, the type of puzzles that's going to be thrown at us with this concept in mind. It's honestly between fusing and Ultra Hand, which is a very unfortunate name if you ask me, but otherwise
agreed.
Ultra Hand.
I'm gonna call it Master Hand.
Hey, apparently the Ultra Hand is like an old Nintendo product, so it's a reference to.
Oh, really?
So that might be where they're going
Really?
with it.
Yeah, I don't know the
Link
details,
went
but
to
I've
the
seen,
Nintendo store.
I've seen people talking about that there's Nintendo had some old product called or something.
I remember the Power Glove.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like an accessory or if it was for something from a different game or something like that, but apparently it's some kind of reference to Nintendo past.
I
to call
did
it
see
that.
an article like that, Dave. I didn't click into it though.
I can forgive the naming then, if that is true.
Yeah, I can anyway. It's just
No, I can't.
all of the different things that you're going to be able to make. And we've just seen, the applications of creating vehicles, but I'm wondering what other things that you could create. It just seems like there are endless possibilities there as well.
Right.
What was the other thing?
Ascend, I think. Will you be able to do that with the islands?
I think so. I think so. Because
Is that a ceiling, or is it you have to be like an enclosed room type ceiling in a room?
It kind of seems like there's a range on it.
yeah.
Didn't you do it in the
I-
trailer though?
I don't doubt that there's a range, but I do think they did do it in the trailer. So I think
Well, they
Maybe
might have been jumping from one sky island to another.
Yeah, you're right.
that's kind of what I think.
That's
You
fair.
can go from the surface world all the way up to the sky island with that, but
Well, I think otherwise there'd be no point to have recall. So I think that you can't have that.
one really
Sorry.
cool detail about Ascend was like how he's saying you can like go through a whole mountain as long as you have a roof. So you
Yep.
can go in like a cave's roof. But I have to say, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that because it kind of undermines the climbing mechanic a little bit.
It does. It does.
like
It does a little
climbing,
bit. I was going to say, David, that kind of solves the problem that a lot of people had is climbing in the rain.
You just ascend down.
You just ascend now. You
thing
don't have
is-
to worry about the rain.
I know that climbing is, some people don't like it because it's slow, right? And requires stamina and you, I don't know, and the rain problem, of course. But like, I still loved that I was able to like go up any surface, right? And so like just being able to like zip, I don't know, like ascend is like climbing fast travel.
And now
And-
you can go up any surface and through some surfaces. Oh, yeah.
No, I kind of agree with you there, David. I'm kind of with you on that actually, because I actually did enjoy the climbing too.
The thing you have to consider though is that again you have to have a roof. So if you've got a mountain that doesn't have any caves, then you can't. You have to climb. I think there's going to be a healthy amount of both, to be honest.
I can agree with that too. Yeah, there's not going to be a roof on everyone's head.
Yeah, he did say that there were limitations, but he didn't really go into detail of what that meant. But anyway,
Nor did we want him to. Silence.
yeah.
Considering how well they did with the first Breath of the Wild game, I'm sure they got some. I'm sure they got it figured out, and they have a nice balance. I'm sure, but we'll have to see when it comes out on Merit Worlds.
I was just going to say, the last thing I wanted to say was I was really impressed with the performance of the game.
Oh,
from what we
yes.
saw earlier.
Yeah,
It seemed like the transition from sky to ground was seamless, and it seemed like it handled it really well. It's got a lot of assets that it's got on screen all at the same time, and
I didn't notice any frame rate drops. I know, but you got to keep in mind though that the original Breath of the Wild was also developed for the Wii U, and maybe that gave them some limitations on what they could do with one version versus the other. But this is going to be the first Zelda game that's made specifically for the Switch, so hopefully that will solve those frame rate problems. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
it's a good point.
Yeah, I personally will be surprised if there's no performance issues, but like Anthony said, it looked really smooth. Like when they were falling out of the sky, the draw distance of the world was shocking to me.
Yeah, it was really big.
Like, you like panned around and you could like see everything. There wasn't like the world slowly popping into the distance, right? And that seemed like an improvement from the first game, because I feel like in the first game, in Breath of the Wild, I remember flying around on my glider, and I
there was
noticed
some
they often
popping.
have like this cloud effect that kind of makes everything look all misty and cloudy, and I wondered if that was like a disguise that,
Things are
disguise
rendering.
resolution will pop in. It started to bother me after a while. Like, why is there so much fog and cloud when I'm flying around? But anyway, I didn't see as much of that.
No, it looked really good. Something I'm just curious about is they didn't show or talk about any stamina or heart upgrades, which we assume they probably will have. But I didn't see any shrines anywhere in this gameplay. Like, how are you going to get more hearts and more stamina? I'm curious. We'll have to see when it comes out. But yeah, that's something I've been thinking about.
Yeah. Anyway, let us know what you guys are most excited to see, or what made you die of laughter, if anything, because I loved those parts. Anyway, Anthony was going to say something before I was doing outro type stuff. Oh, he's not. So yeah, let us know what you think, what you thought, if you're worried, if you're, what's the word?
Pre-ordering the game.
That's not the word, but okay.
I pre-ordered it
If you're pre-ordering
digitally.
the game.
I pre-ordered it digitally literally today.
Yeah, I am thirsting after the game. So somebody else do the outro because I don't know what it is.
Until next time.
Keep it nerdy.